So I'm watching Bleach for the first time in my life, and I finally made it to 1000 Year Blood War. This is what I've been waiting for because I've been hearing too many of y'all in the comments talking about this is the best arc in Bleach, this is the best war arc in anime, this is the best arc in the big three. I'm like, I hear y'all. Everybody is singing the praises of this arc, and now that I've watched it, I gotta tell y'all were right. This arc is amazing, and I've only seen part 1. The first episode of 1000 Year Blood War hooked me so fast. It was almost like a love letter to Bleach fans. After being on hiatus for so long, we finally get to see the main cast, Ichigo, Uryu, Chad, Orihime, in amazing animation. The animation is beautiful. The episode starts off with Mayuri realizing that somebody or something is erasing hollows, and it's in the very same episode that we find out exactly who it is that's erasing these hollows from existence, which is one thing that I want to talk about because the pacing in 1000 Year Blood War is extremely fast, and it's really refreshing seeing a fast-paced arc in Bleach after coming off the Arrancar arc and the Fullbringer arc. But speaking about Arrancars, an Arrancar barges into Ichigo's room and asks to fight Ichigo. Ichigo kicks him off the bed, and then they start fighting outside. And this is where it's shown that the guy that invaded Ichigo's room and started fighting him right now, he's actually a Quincy. Now, 300 something episodes into Bleach, the only Quincy's that we knew of was Uryu and Uryu's father. But there are a lot more Quincy's than that, alright? There's a lot more Quincy's, and they're the main villains of this arc. But before Ichigo even takes on this Quincy, we get a glimpse at the Soul Society, and we see Yamamoto being confronted by a group of these Quincy's, and they tell him, yo, this place was a little bit too easy to infiltrate, maybe you need a little bit of security. Yamamoto tells him, look, I have nothing to fear, I'm here, there's no greater security than that. Oh my god. Yamamoto makes an extremely strong case to being MVP of 1000 Year Blood War Part 1, but the Quincy's in Yamamoto's office kill his lieutenant, and then they end up running off into the shadows before Yamamoto's able to catch them. We cut back to Ichigo versus his Quincy, and the Quincy is taunting Ichigo, yo, you should use your Bankai. Ichigo, why are you not using your Bankai? And we know Ichigo, he loves his Bankai spammer, you know, he's like, alright, you know, if you want to die, like, I guess I'll use my Bankai. And the Quincy is ecstatic. He starts saying, alright, your Bankai ends here, this, that, I'm gonna take your Bankai, but then it doesn't end up disappearing. So after episode 1, we're left with a question: what does it mean for a Quincy to take someone's Bankai? Why did he say your Bankai is over, Ichigo? But actually, episode 1 doesn't end until we get one final scene where we see the main antagonist of 1000 Year Blood War, I'm assuming, Yhwach. And episode 2 of 1000 Year Blood War Part 1 picks off where the first episode ended, and we get to see a glimpse of Yhwach's ruthlessness towards his own Quincy's. But more importantly, in episode 2, I get to see one of my favorite Arrancars come back. I didn't know if we would see them again, but here comes Nell. Nell and Pesce end up in the world of the living, and they meet with Ichigo, and they tell Ichigo what's going on in Hueco Mundo. Baragon and Stark were dead, so the ruler of Hueco Mundo is now Halibel, and Yhwach and the Quincy's ended up invading Hueco Mundo, capturing Halibel, and now they call her one of the foundational pieces to invading the Soul Society. Now, we didn't see Halibel show up for the rest of 1000 Year Blood War Part 1, so I'm guessing that we'll see her in Part 2 or Part 3, but I'm hyped. But Unohana ends up taking the main cast over to Hueco Mundo, and we see how Hueco Mundo is being treated under the Quincy's. The Arrancars are being killed off left and right for fun, which is until we see the 3 female Arrancars that created that demon that Yamamoto had to fight back in the fake Karakura Town arc. They start standing up to the Quincy's. They end up losing though, and episode 2 ends off with Ichigo about to face off with one. What I will say about 1000 Year Blood War, y'all were telling me in the comment section, yo, 1000 Year Blood War is not censored, it's a lot darker. It is a lot darker, and I think this is especially shown at the end of episode 3. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm telling y'all, this isn't even the hypest part about the arc. Episode 3, a Quincy tells Yhwach, yo, Kyuubi is engaged in battle with Ichigo, and they refer to Ichigo as a special threat. Keep this in mind, it's going to be really important. A special threat. But Ichigo is in battle with Kyuubi, and Kyuubi uses the same technique where he absorbs reishi from his environment that Uryu used in his battle with Mayuri in Soul Society. I swear Soul Society, it appreciates with time. So Kyuubi, the Quincy, and Ichigo in the middle of battle, and they get interrupted by that demon that Yamamoto had to beat, Ion. I'll say this about Kubo and Bleach, and you can say the same thing about Oda in One Piece. What I like about them is that they will never introduce a character that is only pertinent to the story within their respective arc. The most irrelevant character, Minoli from the Arrancar saga, like, raise your hand if you expected to see her again. Some of y'all probably have your hand, you know, maybe I'm not very perceptive, right? But I like how these authors always tie these characters back in later on in the story because it never leaves loose ends. We do get a scene around this time where Uryu is looking for some investigative clues himself because he's been able to piece it together. The enemy are Quincy's, and he thought he was the last Quincy alive. No, you're not even special. And he does end up finding his grandfather's journal, which will be important later on. We also get a scene where the Soul Reapers are asking, yo, why are we and the Quincy's at war? And somebody drops a very important, very Socrates-esque line where he says, wars only occur when both sides think that they are right. Cut to Yamamoto and he's talking with Mayuri, yo, why are we killing 28,000 souls? Mayuri tells him, yo, we gotta rebalance the souls, man. I didn't ask for permission, but we gotta do it. Yamamoto's putting blame on him. Mayuri tells him, no. When Uryu invaded the Soul Society and I found out he was a Quincy, I told you something like this would happen. You ignored me. It's also your fault because you didn't kill Yhwach 1,000 years ago. Mayuri in this moment had Yamamoto speechless. He had me speechless. I'm like, damn, maybe it is Yamamoto's fault. He straight clocked him, bro. We cut back to Kyoge though. He's using Quincy techniques to absorb Reishi all around him. He ends up absorbing Ion, the demon. We even see Orihime and Chad's Fullbringer start to get absorbed a little bit as well. But MC Ichigo coming to the rescue with his Bankai out and everything. But before episode 3 ends, we get a scene. Soul Reapers in the Soul Society are like, yo, something feels off. Yhwach standing over the Soul Society like Pain standing over the Hidden Leaf. And we finally get to see the Quincy's for real invading the Soul Society. And it gets dark quick. And nothing darker, nothing more insane to me than Kira getting a whole shot through his entire side of the body. I'm assuming he's dead. I don't know how Kira would ever survive that, but just to start off the Quincy invasion by having the lieutenant immediately get no-diffed off the bat, that's how you show power. That's how you show a difference in skill, a difference in strength. I'm telling y'all were all talking about, oh, 1,000 Year Blood War gets a lot darker, it's a lot more serious. Nah, they wasted no time getting into that darkness, into that brutality of this Quincy versus Soul Reaper war. Oh, it's crazy. And episode 4, just as good, introduces a lot of the Sternritter, showing them going around killing people in the Soul Society. Oh, dude, it's very brutal. And we see a couple of the captains encounter these Sternritters and try to fight them with their Shikais, as all Bleach captains do, because they don't go into their strongest maneuver off the bat. That's definitely, I would be Captain Bankai spammer if I was in the Bleach universe. I'd go straight into every time I'd go into my Bankai. You got Soifone, Toshiro, Kamamura, and Byakuya. They're all fighting against a couple of Sternritters. Byakuya tells Renji, yo, I'm about to go into my Bankai. Renji's like, you can't do that. They're gonna seal away your Bankai. He's like, no, that's why you're in the back. Let me just do this. I'm gonna try my Bankai out. All these captains are trying their Bankais out. They get stolen. They don't get sealed. They get stolen. And that's not what I thought. Initially, I thought the same thing. I thought that Ichigo just wouldn't be able to use his Bankai in his fight against the Quincy. I thought they were just gonna seal it away. Ichigo can't use it, not to steal it and use it against them. Rangiku's letting everybody know. Mayuri's mad because nobody's listening to him. At this point, everybody should listen to Mayuri. And we get a couple of shots of them panning to Unohana and Unohana's reaction to all of this. And Unohana, she shot up in my rankings so quick. She's one of my favorite captains. We gotta talk about that later. I'm sure that y'all know what I'm talking about if you watch Bleach. If you haven't, I don't know why you'd be watching this. You should be enjoying Bleach for yourself. I promise it's peak. But the captains start going through it. Shunsui loses an eye, but nobody gets it worse than Byakuya. And while all of this is going down, we cut back to Hueco Mundo. Unohana is being contacted by Mayuri and Ichigo is still fighting that Quincy. But Unohana steps in, deals the finishing blow and tells Ichigo, yo, you gotta head to the Soul Society like right now. Right now, you gotta be there. And while Ichigo's on his way, the Garganta closes. Ichigo gets jailed. Panta, Unohana, Chad, Orihime, they've all been shot through. Oh, it's crazy. Turns out he wasn't dead. But now that Ichigo's been in jail, he starts walking towards Chad, towards Orihime. I suppose I should kill you. And then he gets sliced in half by none other than the GOAT, Grimmjow. They're trying to keep him hidden. I know it's Grimmjow. Come on, I can recognize my GOAT from a mile away. Y'all don't understand how hype I am to see Grimmjow pop up in the Soul Society, bro. I'm dying to see that, but whatever. Around this time, we get to see Byakuya's fight with the Sternritter and it coming to an end. The Sternritter's putting actual real life fear into Byakuya, and Byakuya from the start of the series was always cool, calm, collected. Very rarely did you see him get shook, but he got steamrolled in this fight. It hurts me I love Byakuya, bro. Byakuya's had some of the biggest character development throughout this series, so to see him get owned like that, I couldn't bear to see that. Renji got brushed aside. I'm waiting for a Renji W. Y'all told me Renji's gonna see some wins soon. I'm still waiting. But Rukia, Renji, Byakuya, they end up getting washed. But we cut to Kenpachi though. He's on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. He's walking with 3 Sternritters on top of him like some dead bodies. Oh, Kenpachi was one of my biggest question marks in this arc because once I found out, oh, they can steal Bankais, I'm like, That doesn't matter to Kenpachi. And now Kenpachi is standing right in front of Yhwach and his lieutenant. And that's where I'm going to end that story, because we know how Kenpachi versus Yhwach ends. And I don't want to talk about it any further. But we finally see Yamamoto on the move. And Yamamoto's going to start fighting. And I've been dying to see Yamamoto fight a real fight for so long. We saw a little glimpse of his Shikai in Soul Society. Not a fight. We saw him versus Wonder Whites where his zanpakuto got sealed. Not quite what I wanted to see. I want to see Yamamoto using his Shikai, using his Bankai, and we got that. And it was peak. Yamamoto starts off by the first Sternritter, the one that took his lieutenant's Bankai, and he's using his own lieutenant's Bankai against Yamamoto, and this leads us into a flashback of Yamamoto where you get a little bit of backstory between him and his lieutenant. It was nice, but Yamamoto, I kid you not, fries his face off with the Shikai. I don't even know if I can show it on YouTube. And after this, we get some happy music. The captain's looking around all happy. Oh, Yamamoto's on the move. It's really over for the Sternritters. I really like that moment because they're injecting a little bit of hope into the audience, okay? The Soul Reapers, they might have this. The Soul Society might clutch it out before breaking our hearts. So Yamamoto meets up with Yhwach. It's about to go down. Yhwach is holding. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. And we finally get Yamamoto versus Yhwach. We finally get a real Yamamoto fight, and of course the animation is fantastic. It's beautiful. There was actually one part of this fight that I saw years ago that I didn't even know was from Bleach, and when I saw it, it jogged my memory. I'm like, I've seen this before. It's when Yamamoto taps the floor. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm assuming that was like massive in the Bleach community when it happened, because if it reached me, who wasn't a Bleach fan at the time, on TikTok, then that's how you know that it was absolutely massive. But it definitely deserved all the praise. It deserved all the hype. When Yamamoto used Bankai, the entire Soul Society was in trouble. Not even the enemy, his allies too. Everybody was being dried up. If Yamamoto was alive 5-10 minutes longer, everybody would have died, I promise. But that wasn't even the full extent of his Bankai, because he ended up using a technique that reanimates the people that he's killed, and then he had these people fight against Yhwach. Beautiful animation, beautiful fight, beautiful storytelling. Oh, and then Yamamoto delivers the finishing blow. But it wasn't the finishing blow to Yhwach, it was the finishing blow to Sternritter. Why? And throughout that entire fight, Yhwach was actually down there talking to Aizen. Oh, it was so good seeing Aizen back for the first time since what? The Arrancar saga? We didn't see him in Fullbringer. We finally get to see some Aizen. And Yhwach went down there and asked Aizen, yo, we got the same goal. We all want to take down the Soul Society. How about you join with me? Aizen said, nah, I refuse. I should mention, Yhwach referred to Aizen as a special threat. He has 5 special threats. Aizen is one of them. Ichigo's the other one. I can only imagine that Yamamoto was a special threat, but he didn't refer to him as one, so I don't know. That one's up in the air. Unohana probably is a special threat, and then I think the last one is Kenpachi. But yeah, Aizen refused, and Yamamoto said, all right, if you're gonna refuse, then we're done talking. I'm not gonna kill you. You're fused with the Hogyoku. It's gonna take too long for me to kill you. But I'm not gonna lie, Aizen is definitely gonna become unjailed. He's gonna find a way out. Once he does, it might just be over for the Soul Society. There's no way, I can't foresee. I mean, I said the same thing during the Arrancar saga, and then we got Mugetsu, right? I can't see Ichigo becoming strong enough to defeat Aizen and Yhwach if they're trying to destroy the Soul Society at the same time. But for now, Aizen is just a lingering threat. We don't have to worry about him for the rest of Cour 1. But back to the Yhwach and Yamamoto fight. Yhwach figured out Yamamoto's Bankai, does some Quincy shenanigans, tomfoolery, horseplay that I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. I probably mispronounced a billion things by now. I probably mispronounced Yhwach, and he kills Yamamoto straight up, like just simple. Slice him in half. The hope that the Soul Reapers and the captains were feeling, all that music, that build up. Oh, Yamamoto's here. We're getting encouraged now. It's gone. It's over. It's over. The Soul Society is in shambles. It's actually, at this point, I'm like, all right, how are there 3 cores to this arc? But that's because I'm naive, and Ichigo is still in the Garganta. Remember, he's jailed. Breaks out after he feels everybody dying, screaming, crying. Finally, we get Ichigo touching down in the Soul Society. Who's the first person he goes to? Oh, that's right. The first antagonist of the series, Byakuya. I love Ichigo and Byakuya's dynamic, and this is probably my favorite moment of Cour 1. Byakuya asking Ichigo, is Renji okay? Is Rukia okay? A lot of character development from the Soul Society when he was about to exterminate Rukia and defeating Renji in a fight. Ichigo tells him, yo, no, they're good. Byakuya is like, all right. I'm thinking Byakuya is gonna die, especially with his final request. Ichigo, protect the Soul Society. This was another one of those moments where I'm like, hold on, I've seen that panel. I've seen people say protect the Soul Society, and I'm finally here. I've made it to that moment. What? Oh, it was crazy. I love that moment, bro. It's probably my favorite part of Cour 1. Ichigo is no longer tasked with protecting Rukia, protecting Orihime Chad, protecting his friends. Nah, he's gotta protect the Soul Society. Ichigo's gotta put the team on his back at this point. I mean, we've already got the star players down with injury. We got Yamamoto's gone. Couple Bankais have been stolen, right? Toshiro, maybe Toshiro could go a couple days without Bankai. Put it to rest, bro. But it's looking grim, and Ichigo hears this, protect the Soul Society. No words needed. Doesn't even say anything to Byakuya. Heads out. Finds Yhwach. I love Ichigo, man. Like, what a cool character, bro. Finds Yhwach. Are you the one responsible for destroying the Soul Society? He tells him, yeah, I am. They start fighting. Ichigo's no match, though. Not even close. I almost don't even want to talk about it. Ichigo gets a little bit destroyed. Sword to his neck. I'm thinking, how is he alive? Starts flashing blue. Ichigo has the same defense mechanisms that the Quincy's have. I remember one day I was a little bit, not cautious reading the comments section. Somebody said Ichigo's a Quincy. I thought this guy's trolling. I thought he was lying. I thought, no. Ichigo Quincy? Nah, never. Ichigo's related to Kain. And I'm so thankful for my ignorance. Never have I been more ignorant in my life, because I was still able to be surprised at this moment, finding out that Ichigo has Quincy blood. And we're gonna find out how. Yhwach finding out tells him, yo, you don't know anything about yourself, not even about your own mother. So at this point, I'm connecting the dots. Ichigo's mom was a Quincy, and then I'm thinking, how did she die to a mere hollow? She's a Quincy, right? She must have been a bum. Nah, she's not a bum. Yhwach tries to take him back to the Quincy base. Ichigo's fighting off, but Yhwach gets him, about to kill him, and he starts fading away. I'm like, this is what just happened. Why is he fading away? It turns out that when he went down there to chat with Aizen, talking about, yo, you better join my side, Aizen manipulated his sense of time and made him spend more time than he needed to down there. Aizen is peak, bro. I'm sorry. I don't care what y'all say, man. Aizen is peak, and this moment right here inadvertently gave the Soul Society a little bit more time. It bought them some time, or maybe Aizen did mean to protect the Soul Society in this moment for his own reasons. I don't know what's running through Aizen's mind, but we need more of him. I hope we see more Aizen in Cour 2. The episode ends off with Ichigo not letting them leave. It's not gonna happen, bro. I'm not gonna let y'all get away. Tries to chase after them, and his zanpakuto gets broken by the lieutenant. Seeing his zanpakuto get broken like that, what a perfect way to end the episode. One of my favorite episodes of the arc. It's either this one or The Blade Is Me. We'll get to that. But the next episode is the rebuild after the Quincy invasion. Episode starts off by Unohana revealing that she was told to stay back by Yamamoto. Like I said, we'll get to that. Unohana is a demon in this arc. We also found out that Shunsui is the new head captain of the Soul Society, and we also learned that Byakuya is alive. I don't know how I feel about that. Y'all don't need me to tell y'all that I love Byakuya. I've been praising his character development throughout this entire arc, but I feel like it would have been a good ending if he died right there when he asked Ichigo to protect the Soul Society. But I don't know what's up next, and if there's one thing that I learned watching Bleach is that you don't doubt Kubo, so I'll wait for what's in store. But Ichigo's talking to Mayuri, and Mayuri tells him, yo, when a Bankai is destroyed, there's no way to restore it, which is what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, hold on. Ichigo, every time a zanpakuto is broken, that's a big deal. But this does get resolved later on, so I'll save it for those episodes. Like The Blade Is Me, I love that episode. Let me stop. But in the same episode, we meet Squad Zero, 5 members. Shunsui tells us all 5 of those members combined are stronger than all 13 court guard captains. I'm like, okay, these guys are strong, bro. They come down and they say, we're taking Rukia, Renji, and Byakuya. We gotta heal their wounds. Ichigo, you're coming with us too. Ichigo's like, nah, but my wounds are fine. Like, I'll heal just fine. They're like, nah. We're taking you for a whole different reason. But he gets interrupted by Kon, who was brought to by the Soul Society. Kon became just like a hologram. I don't know. He's used to communicate with Unohana. Bear in mind, Unohana, Chad, Orihime, they're all still in Hueco Mundo. And they tease Grimmjow one more time. Come on, like, I know that's Grimmjow, bro. Just hurry up and show me Grimmjow. Ichigo on his way to the royal palace. They get sent up by Kukaku, my favorite obscure character in Bleach. And this is where it's confirmed that Ichigo's dad, Kukaku, Ganju, they're uncles. They're all related. I don't know. I figured this out in the Soul Society. I'm kind of a genius. It was kind of obvious, but we also see Tsukishima and Genjo, which was kind of like, I don't want to say unexpected, because while yeah, I didn't imagine that the Fullbringers would play a role in the 1,000-Year Blood War. Like I said, Kubo always ties his characters, no matter how small, back into the story later on. But Ichigo makes it to the royal palace palace, and we get a little bit of backstory. They talk about Aizen's plan to create a fake oak to get into the royal palace. They say the Quincy's are a greater evil than Aizen. To that I say absolutely not. Like, are y'all crazy? Are y'all serious? Is that real? The first stop in the royal palace is the hot spring, though. It's basically to heal your wounds. Ichigo and Renji end up healing first, and they're on their way to the next place. But we cut back to head captain Shun. So he's talking to Central 46. He says, look, my game plan is this. First step, we gotta train Kenpachi. I'm like, yes, dude, fine. It's about time. I've been saying this since the Soul Society arc. Somebody seeing eye to eye with me. We gotta get Kenpachi to learn Bankai because he's a big time threat. And once Shunsui drew up the play, he tossed it to his assistant coach. He said, look, I'm gonna have somebody train Kenpachi, and that's gonna be Unohana, or should I say the first Kenpachi. I remember when I dropped my Arrancar video, I said something at the beginning of the video where I was like, yo, these Arrancar ran away from Unohana for no reason. A couple of the comments were like, no, there's a reason for that. Keep your eyes on Unohana. There's a reason. Unohana being the first Kenpachi, being the first GOAT, the first real killer of the Soul Society. Last thing I had in mind. And the rest of the episode really keeps up on that same beat. Unohana, Kenpachi, they get their own place. They're about to duke it out. I found out they go way back. Unohana gave Kenpachi a score. Kenpachi gave Unohana a score. And they start fighting. People around the Soul Society are saying somebody's gonna die. One of them is gonna die in this fight. And Unohana says that since the last time they fought, Kenpachi has gotten weaker. And we get a scene of Kenpachi upset, realizing that he might die without ever having beat Unohana. And she stabs him through the throat. Kenpachi blacks out and he's back. And the fight carries on in the next episode, episode 8, one of my favorites. The battle, so good. The start of the episode, we get flashbacks to Unohana, Kenpachi, how they met. Kenpachi with a pile of bodies. Unohana explaining, yo, Kenpachi, your battle with Ichigo, your battle with Noichiro, they were close. Do you think it's because they were just as good as you? No, it's because you were holding back the whole time. She even goes as far as to say that my greatest sin is being weaker than you. Therefore, you lowered yourself to my level because you were afraid of losing me. Yo, the storytelling in this episode is beautiful, man. Yo, it's amazing. Should I be saying Zarki? I mean, they were both Kenpachi. But it's revealed that Unohana throughout this entire fight, every time Kenpachi blacks out, she's killing him over and over and over and over again, and she's healing him back up, because the only time Kenpachi treats a battle serious, the only time he really lets go and stops holding back, is when he's on the verge of death. And after I found this out, hold on, Bankai. This is my favorite episode. Nah, the blade is me or this one, I don't know. Unohana shows off the blood sword, one of the coolest Bankais in Bleach, and they start fighting. Y'all are gonna have to watch this episode over because I'm never gonna be able to do it justice. And they fight until Kenpachi inevitably kills her, man. One of my favorite fights in Bleach, no questions asked. This fight was way too good. And Unohana dies, bro. It's sad. Kenpachi's upset. First time I really see Kenpachi upset like that. And his zanpakuto calls out, Kenpachi, I think it's about time you learn my name. This was hinted at since the Soul Society. Yo, I love this episode. By far one of the best episodes in all of Bleach. And the episode concludes with Ichigo and Renji going into training. The training, the concept of zanpakutos, it's so intricate. I honestly think it deserves its own video. I mean, this is a 13 episode arc and this video is getting pretty long on its own, so I'll try to hurry it up. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe. But Ichigo fails his test and gets kicked out of the royal palace. He's actually in the real world now. I'm not gonna lie, the pacing made this part a little bit awkward, but he's talking to his dad and we finally get the explanation of Ichigo, his dad being a Soul Reaper, his mom being a Quincy. All of this is explained. But in a flashback, Ichigo's dad is faced with a hollow that looks exactly like Ichigo's Vasto Lorde form. Keep in mind, this is all a part of Aizen's plan years before Ichigo is born, and he gets saved by a Quincy. Turn around, it's Ichigo's mom. Well, it's not Ichigo's mom yet, but soon to be. y'all know it. Whatever, Ichigo's dad, Ichigo's mom, they end up handling this hollow together. Also explains how Ichigo's dad and Uryu's dad knew each other, which I never really thought of because I'm not smart. But the episode ends off with Tozen mad. Yo, why did the holification get passed on to Quincy? Aizen's like, yo, let's see how this pans out. And soon after, the holification process of Ichigo's mom begins. They're found out by Unohana, and Unohana breaks it down. Look, there's only one way that we can prevent this holification from happening, and it basically involved Ichigo's dad having to give up his life as he knew it. And he was so willing to do it immediately, no hesitation. Now I see why Ichigo's so solid. He got it from his father. But at the end of the episode, we find out how it was that if Ichigo's mom was a Quincy, she died to Grand Fisher was a mere hollow, and Ishin explains she could have beat him without a scratch on her. Pretty much Yhwach ended up taking the power of Quincy's that he deemed unfit, which was Ichigo's mom, Uryu's mom as well, and that's why she ended up dying to Grand Fisher. Ichigo finds out the blood of Yhwach is running through all Quincy's, which includes him because he has Quincy blood. So Ichigo, bruh, he's part hollow, he's human, he's Quincy, he's Soul Reaper, he's peak. Like, that's what he is, he's peak. But we move on to the final episode of Cour 1000-Year Blood War. The Blade is me. Episode starts off, Hisagi's trying to learn Bankai, Kamamura's trying to learn his clan's hidden secret, whatever that is. Everybody's trying to learn the strongest technique they can before the next Quincy invasion, which includes Ichigo, of course, which is what this episode is mainly about. Ichigo and the true nature of his zanpakuto. The hollow white that Aizen created, the one that attacked Ichigo's father and his mother, was created the same way that zanpakutos are created, by stacking and layering souls on top of each other. So this hollow became Ichigo's zanpakuto when it merged with his inner Soul Reaper powers, which makes that white hollowified version of Ichigo that we've been seeing inside of him since the Soul Society, that has always been his true zanpakuto, and he's always said it too. And now the question points to old man Zangetsu. Who is this guy? We look at him up close. Who does that look like, Ichigo? Doesn't that look like the man who destroyed the Soul Society? Old man Zangetsu is the manifestation of Yhwach 1,000 years ago. The writing, the foreshadowing, everything timed back from the very first episode, dude. This is peak, bro. Like, this is peak. This is amazing. Old man was never Zangetsu. Old man was the source of Ichigo's Quincy powers all along, and all of it makes sense. He starts explaining. Think back to every time you've been saved. Every time I tried to teach you how to use your zanpakuto, I called up White. He never wanted Ichigo to become a Soul Reaper. He's been suppressing his Soul Reaper powers because when Ichigo becomes a Soul Reaper, he would have to kill him with his own hands. But time after time, trials, tribulation, pain, suffering, etc., Ichigo still wanted to become a Soul Reaper. Let him go on his own decision. And in the end, the man that we thought was old man Zangetsu was satisfied with seeing how far Ichigo's come, how strong Ichigo's gotten, and they say goodbye, bro. It's sad because this was the guy that we've known since the Soul Society arc when he saved Ichigo versus Kenpachi, and that was one of my favorite moments in all of Bleach. That was what top 2 moment in all of Bleach for me, and it turns out that was the manifestation of Ichigo's Quincy powers that was suppressing his Soul Reaper powers, and now that he's gone, there's nothing to stop Ichigo now. This episode was insane. And this is just my first watch of it. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this over and over and over. Y'all let me know in the comment section if I misunderstood anything or if I forgot anything about this episode. What a masterpiece of an episode. And it might not just be my favorite episode in Bleach. It might just be my favorite episode in the big 3. It's up there as one of my favorite episodes in all of anime that I've seen. I would need to look back through a definitive list of all of my favorite episodes of all time, but dude, this is up there. Like, this is up there. This episode was the perfect culmination of every bit and piece that we learned about Ichigo throughout Bleach in its entirety, fleshing itself out in the last episode of 1000-Year Blood War Cour 1, and Ichigo coming to terms with who he is really. I say this a lot when referring to Bleach, but stop me when I'm wrong. Cinema. Like, cinema. And that is just 1000-Year Blood War Part 1. 13 episodes, 30-minute video, so much to talk about, so much peak, and we're not even at the climax. We're not even at part 2. We're not at part 3. You know, I made one of the best decisions of my life about a month ago, starting this YouTube channel and covering Bleach. Even if I had 0 views, I would still be watching Bleach and I would still be thinking this is peak, and this is amazing, man. I can't imagine what part 3 has in store for me, man.